He's, he comes and goes a little bit. Like, so
Does he?
the other day, he graduated.
I'm still not working.
Oh. He graduated from West. Same time I did, I thought. He's my age. He said he's only 47.
Yeah. He's 10 years old.
So
So
he's a year older. I thought it was 65. So April 46, I said, you're a year old. 77. He said, well, I guess I'm 77. But other days he knows.
yeah, him and Summit ran together, and gosh, there was a captain up there. They were all big political guys. Because Donnie used to run around with what was that guy's name? All over the markets on Sullivan Avenue. Yeah. Next to Moon's place. He was a political guy too.
Tony Lane. No, Tony Lane.
Right.
Pinballs.
No.
Kenny Willard got up in there. Pretty Mullins and them on the across the street.
It was beside, it was on that same side of the street as Mullins' place. Guy's name, but Donnie used to ride him around.
Oh, Bobby too.
Probably too.
Man, that was years ago.
It was. Gosh.
Yeah, he's a big dog. Tell everybody.
Right, connected. If somebody wanted something, go see him, then go cheap fucking happens.
Wasn't always the right thing.
That's kind of this one. I thought this one was kind of. I thought it was cheaper already.
He's here yesterday.
Give it up 15 minutes. He stays out in Franklin. So,
He was here yesterday, so. Right there.
well, he drove in and he go from here, he went downtown to get his picture made. Yeah,
Y'all get your picture.
I got mine today. Got this yesterday. We're gonna try to fight it this morning and get that out of council. Are you?
Well, he was here, subcommittee.
It's on his way. I thought he was here already. I was trying to call him, get over to work with Gary. And, you know, you here. So it's here.
When your first comes up, yeah.
Chip Camp graduated yesterday.
They did.
It was in NA. I know, it's just a dang deal.
I told him, I said, for the last 3 months, we haven't had a roll call.
You've got that on your mind.
I'd say you probably had to make a stop in East Tennessee before you come back.
That's so.
Could be in there, board so accepted it. He's getting priorities there.
Hell, they always get me in this.
I did run into his wife a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Lunch.
My grandfather.
She's at the UT Police Department.
We had some cousins. We had some third cousins that were children. They were police officers in the police department.
Good morning. I call to order the September 2023 post-commission meeting. Has everybody got their agenda in front of them? If they do, is any of the board members have any additions or corrections they see in the agenda? I would like to make 2 additional points to add to new business for the agenda. I'd like to add item number 3 in new business. We need to have a discussion about overall rules and look at have discussion with Director Bello about rules meeting. Also, number 4, add in new business, I want us to talk about our meeting locations for the post commission. If anybody else doesn't have anything, I'll accept a motion to make the changes to the agenda. Have a motion and a second by Commissioner Spangler. Any discussion on the corrections and additions to the agenda? Having none, all in favor of the agenda indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Do we have a recorder? Do we have a court reporter today, or we do not?
We've not ever been recorded on our
Yes,
by video.
okay. Administrative matters. Do you have anything, Director Bello?
No, sir.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Beverly,
Present.
Commissioner Carter,
Here.
Commissioner Terry. Here. Commissioner Green,
Here.
Commissioner Halsey,
Here.
Commissioner Isbell,
Present.
Commissioner Jackson,
Here.
Commissioner Russell, Commissioner Spangler. Here. Commissioner Wagner,
Here.
Commissioner Wright, and Vice Chair Faulkner,
Here.
and Chairman Park.
Here.
You have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. If you would go over our disclaimer, please. You have the disclaimer?
Yeah, it's probably tucked away in our little box there. Is it up against the wall there?
If you don't, I think I can win it.
Yeah, same.
I think for the purposes of the board members understand the disclaimer, I will, for the record, go over any votes or matters that may affect any member of this committee will abstain. We will not show any improprieties and be a transparency for any issues that may come upon this board. So that will be our disclaimer. Moving on. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes for the August 23 meeting? And if so, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes unless you see additions or corrections.
So move.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the minutes indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Reports for decertification committee hearing on September 14th, 2023.
We had the matter of Adamsville Police Department and the surrender of certification by Johnny Lee Deloitte. The matter of Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, William Baker, that was referred to full commission. Chattanooga Police Department, matter of Eric Brown, that was a default order decertification. Tennessee Department of Safety, the matter of Stephen Brown, a default order decertification. Tennessee Department of Safety, the matter of Jesse Caldwell, referred to a full hearing. Chattanooga Police Department, matter of David Campbell, that was default order decertification. Jackson Police Department, matter of Malcolm Clark, that was referred to a default order decertification. Sullivan County Sheriff's Office, matter of Ricky Davis, also default order decertification. Memphis Police Department, matter of Daniel Dermeyer, that was placed in suspended status. Also was agreed upon that he would not work in law enforcement until his matter comes before the board. Metro Nashville Police Department, matter of Nathan Glass, no action taken. Matter was dismissed. Chattanooga Police Department, matter of Sean Hickey, default order of decertification. Perry County Sheriff's Office, matter of Jonathan Kelly, default order of decertification. Memphis Police Department, matter of Lawrence Miller, default order of decertification. Tennessee Department of Safety, matter of Bryant Moss, default order of decertification. Chattanooga Police Department, matter of Ryan Patton, default order of decertification. Tennessee Department of Safety, matter of Phelan Richmond, referred for decertification. Memphis Police Department, matter of Dwayne Smith, placed in suspended status with the agreement that he would not work in law enforcement until his matter comes before the board. Memphis Police Department, matter of Nicholas Smith, default order of decertification. Shelby County Sheriff's Office, matter of Yeshua Trent, default order of decertification. And the Clarksville Police Department, in the matter of Benjamin Trebet, no action taken, the matter was dismissed.
Thank you, Director. Any questions or comments from the decertification hearing on September 14th? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the decisions made in the informal hearing.
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion to accept by Commissioner Wagner.
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner Isbell. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none, motion carries. Moving over to page 3 of our agenda. Appearing before the commission, waivers for pre-employment, Blount County Sheriff's Office.
Blount County Sheriff's Office requests military discharge waiver for Seth Arnold Bloodgood, hired August 20th of 2023. In May of 2013, Mr. Bloodgood was discharged from the United States Marine Corps with a general under honorable conditions discharge under secretary authority.
Thank you. Good morning. Who's representing Blount County Sheriff's Office?
Lieutenant Josh Blair.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. Could you explain to the committee what you found in your pre-employment investigation?
We discovered that he had a less than or under honorable discharge from the military. I'll let Mr. Bloodgood share the story as to what led to that, or is that what you'd like, Mr. Chairman?
That would be fine. Does anybody, before representative of the department steps aside, does anybody have any questions of the department? We may call you back after Mr. Bloodgood explains his situation. If you could identify yourself for the record, sir.
Seth Arnold Bloodgood.
Thank you. Can you tell us how you came about this discharge?
Yes, sir. It was actually in 2012. I returned from Afghanistan. I used a substance called Spice. I was discharged for that in 2013 with an other than honorable discharge. And I had it upgraded to general under honorable in last year.
What was your difficulty to get that upgraded?
Well, it took just about that entire time working with I had a free attorney that was just trying to get into that business, I guess, that helped me out.
Questions of the board? Commissioner Cherry, you're recognized.
Thank you. Mr. Bloodgood, first of all, thank you for the service you rendered in the Marine Corps. Semper Fi.
Simplify.
You're looking at an old Marine, so appreciate what you've gone through. As a lawyer in the Marine Corps, I dealt with a few drug cases, and just for the benefit of the commission, I read through your paperwork. It appears that the stuff that you took, spice, at the time, that was something you just got over the counter or drugstores, places like that. It was sold as incense, but some people figured out you could smoke it and get a little bit of a buzz. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
The way this came out, just tell us a little about your history in the Marine Corps. When you enlisted, what you did, and just the events that led up to this, just so that we understand kind of what your background is, please.
Yes, sir. I enlisted in 2010 in the infantry. I was an 0352 anti-tank missileman. I was in 2nd Tank Battalion, which was non-deployable. So I had to volunteer to go with 2nd Battalion 9th Marines down in the province. And we took some casualties, some friends of mine. So when we came back, I was dealing with that as a young man, not really knowing how to deal with it. One of my friends that didn't deploy, but we were in 2nd Tanks together, he was already using it and told me about it and that he bought it over the counter. So I knew that it was probably wrong. It felt like it was wrong, but I did it because it was over the counter. Sold as incense. So.
How long were you on active duty?
Just about 3 years.
Okay. So over that 3-year period, I imagine you rose in rank from E1 to what? E3, E4?
I was supposed to be promoted to corporal, but because of that, I got busted back down to a private first class.
Okay. Did you have an opportunity to appear before a board?
I did.
And they voted to discharge you with an OTH?
Yes.
Tell us about the process in getting that upgraded. Apparently you reached out to the Naval Discharge Review Board, is that correct?
Well, first I didn't know what to do about it until a couple years after being discharged. I met up with a Fallujah Marine that really wanted to help me out. He turned me on to this foundation called O3XX. They help infantry Marines. So they put me with an attorney or whatever you call him there that works for free because he wants to become an attorney. So it's kind of like, if he wins cases, I guess, I don't really know how it works, but if he does well, I guess he could get a job somewhere. So he helped me for several years until we finally had a good case. And then when he presented it to the Naval Discharge Review Board, I got it upgraded and received all of my benefits back from the military.
Okay. Tell us what you've been doing since you left the Marine Corps.
When I first got out, I did landscaping for 4 years until I met with somebody that my dad knew from Dollywood. I worked Dollywood security for 5 years. When I left there, I was a sergeant and the training unit. I did all the firearms instruction, policies, procedures. And then I went to Blount Memorial Hospital security. And when I left there, I was a lieutenant. They sent me through Blount County's police academy. And then while I was there working with their staff, I realized that's where I wanted to go, was their department. So now I applied there and gotten hired on that. I've done that too.
Okay. Now you've talked about some of the training you've had. You haven't been to a certification course to be a police officer in Tennessee, or what?
Yes.
So
Yes,
you've
sir.
already been through the
Blount
academy.
County Academy.
Okay, you've been through the academy. Was this disclosed previously before you went through the academy, or how? I'm trying to understand how you're here before us without this having already been dealt with.
Well, we're trying to scratch our head on that as well, Commissioner. He was hired from Blount Memorial Hospital, which is the hospital here in Blount County locally. They sent him through our academy, which we have that waiver from this commission to do that type of training. And we're still trying to figure out how he worked for Blount Memorial Security. And then we onboarded him as a reserve officer with us, which he was very quick turnaround. We decided to hire him, where we discovered that he had this other than honorable discharge. And I think it's just the way it flowed that he kind of slipped through the cracks on this, but why we're here today But we have now put things in check on the academy side of things and in our hiring to say, hey, this was something, you know, we found a chink in our armor essentially. So,
we're not talking about a failure to disclose this. It's just a matter of, it was in there, but it wasn't picked up and followed through. But
that's exactly right. We assumed when he was hired with Blunt Memorial that they had went through the processes, and of course they report to the Department of Insurance Commerce on the PSO side of things. And so it was just one of those things that just kind of slid through. So we got to this point, we're like, oh, he's got an other than honorable discharge, which is why we're here today. So
okay, so we're kind of going back to fix something that should have been dealt with a long time ago. But this isn't any fault on the officers' part.
no, sir. No, sir. Not on his. I've known Mr. Bloodgood since he come through our academy. He was a leader in that academy, did a fantastic job. I know the director of security at BMH, nothing but rave reviews on him. So no, sir, it's nothing on him. It's a mistake on our part. Like I said, we found a chink in our armor. And I think it was just the way he kind of lateraled into our agency because we worked so close with them. But we have since fixed that. So.
Mr. Bloodgood, just a couple more questions. What's your family situation right now? Are you married, single, kids? What's going on there?
I'm not married, but my lady and 3 children, we live together. I own a house. I'm paying on a house.
Okay. What's your, I'm assuming you learned your lesson about use of strange substances, you can get them over the counter. Any more issues with that?
Well, it's been quite a few years since this happened. It's a recurring lesson I'll never forget, that's for sure.
Thank you, Jim Cherry. As far as the hospitals, have you had a conversation with the hospital about looking at their policy?
Yes,
on
sir.
that? Because that can happen. I don't know, we understand about the lateral transfer and the assumptions. Second thing, Mr. Bloodgood, being that you're a veteran of our armed forces and you've been probably in combat zone, we worry about our mental health with our law enforcement officers, and we want to make sure that our officers have the things that they need to come into law enforcement. And are you currently good with your veteran services and services that you need? Because you were trying to cope. Seems like you were using this particular product to cope with the situation. Is the coping mechanism a problem today, years down the road?
Absolutely not.
Okay. And you know that there is services available that later on something reoccurs, that we have services here in the state of Tennessee, and I'm sure your department will make you aware of those services.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions from members?
I work with Blunt County, I'm abstaining from voting.
We'll have one abstention.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second? Have a second from Senator Cherry. Senator Jackson, I'm sorry. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Good luck and thank you for your service.
Thank you, please. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right.
Thank you.
Next up, Cumberland County Sheriff's Office.
The Cumberland County Sheriff's Office requests a military discharge waiver for Caleb Elijah Charles, hired August 14th of 2023. In January of 2017, Mr. Charles was discharged from the United States Army with a general under honorable conditions discharge for a pattern of misconduct.
Thank you. Who's representing Cumberland County Sheriff's Office? this morning?
Captain Jeff Slade.
Good morning, Captain.
Good morning.
Captain, you've heard the last procedure. Can you tell us what you found in your pre-employment investigation?
During our pre-employment background check, we found that Mr. Charles was discharged with a general discharge under honorable conditions from the United States Army. During that, we found that it was basically for insubordination several events. There was also some just immaturity and ignorance involved, which I believe that today and what led us to go ahead and hire him was that he has showed us that his character, he has changed that, and he's grown out of that. So I think he can speak best to a lot of the stuff that happened while he was in the U.S. Army.
Thank you, Captain. Mr. Charles, you could identify yourself for the record and come to the microphone.
Kevin Charles?
And can you explain to the post commission what all your rowdiness was that got you this discharge?
I apologize for my voice too. I've been sick. At the time when I joined the Army, it was a rough place in my life. I joined the Army because I was trying to escape the town I was from and my family situation. I figured I would find that in the military. It turned out that that structure wasn't so clear for me in the military. Due to issues with my command, just the stubbornness of being a teenager in a new place on my own, figuring out my young adult life, it caused me to run into some problems and butt heads with people. When looking back, they had the best thing in mind for me, and I just was too stubborn to learn. Since then, I can't say that looking back, I disagree with the decision at the time. I'd do the same thing if I was in charge of somebody. But looking back, I appreciate everything they did for me, and I wouldn't be the man I am today if they wouldn't have done that to me. So,
Were you ever deployed?
I was not then.
How old are you now?
I'm 27 years old.
27. You married and have children or anything?
No, sir.
Questions of the board? General Terry.
Thank you. Mr. Charles, just a couple questions about some of your background. How long were you in the Army altogether?
I was in the Army for roughly a year and 9 months, I believe.
Okay, a year and 9 months. And during that time, you had a number of counseling entries, a couple of company grade Article 15s, and then a field grade Article 15. Is that correct? Okay. Just for the benefit of the commission, when we're talking about these counseling entries in Article 15s, there are a number of different levels of discipline available to commanders in the services. My experiences in the Marine Corps, the Army is similar. I think in the plan, I think the orders and the structure are pretty much the same. But if somebody does something and gets in trouble, the first thing is they come before their unit commander and talking about it. You know, they'll make a mark in their record, give them a formal counseling. And they do that for a number of different reasons, but they just want to track it. That happened on a couple of occasions, things like being late or missing training or things like that, things that are not serious enough to rise the level of more drastic kinds of discipline. And then with the company grade Article 15, that's something that is a little more higher level of discipline. Company grade, basically we're talking about something that goes before a lieutenant or a captain. They're referred to as company level commanders, and they are limited in the degree of discipline they can give. They cannot reduce somebody in rank, but they can restrict them to the barracks. They can give them extra duties and things like that. That's what happened to you for the first couple of Article 15. Okay. You had a couple other things that happened, and finally you went up to Major or Lieutenant Colonel for field grade Article 15. Is that fair to say? Probably your battalion commander or something like that. And with that, were you reduced in rank or anything like that, or what would they do?
Yes, sir. I was busted down to a E1 private. Received 45 days half pay, 45 days extra duty.
Okay. So that's a greater degree of punishment than what can be given at a company level NJP or Article 15. But once you have a number of these, even though they don't rise to the level of something that somebody would want to send to a court martial, it is something that is where a person can be discharged, and they call that a pattern of misconduct. Minor disciplinary actions that have happened in the past are documented based on that. Somebody can be sent on their way. That's what happened here. I don't see anything in your record. There was an incident with a weapon, and that was resolved in the civilian world. Is that correct? And you were never charged with anything in the civilian world. But were you actually charged in the Army with that? I wasn't.
No, sir. No, it was a all coach, my own gun, everything, just a negligent discharge that was an accident. Nothing happens over an accident.
Okay. Mr. Charles, I'm going to say this, not meaning to be critical of you, but just referring back to my old experience when I was a lawyer in the Marine Corps for a number of years. This is an instance when in the Marine Corps, there are a lot of terms we would apply to folks like this, young, immature kids that just hadn't grown up, just weren't ready to meet the conditions of military service. We would kick them out and call them knuckleheads. That was my favorite term for them. I had some buddies who would use more colorful terms. But not that they were bad people or a danger to anybody. They just didn't fit in real well. They weren't ready to deal with the life that came with being a Marine, or in this case, being a soldier. So with that, this is certainly something we can give a waiver for, and I would suggest that it's appropriate in this case.
I would like to add also that since he's been out of the military, he has also served in the private sector and has done some time over in Ukraine, helping the Ukrainians in the fight against Russia.
Where are you from, Mr. Charles?
I'm from Crossville, Tennessee.
You grew up in Cumberland County. So it's good that a hometown boy can provide a service there to his citizens.
It was one of the reasons I recently just come back about 4 months ago from Ukraine. Spent 6 months over there. I was doing casualty evacuations, and then I spent time attached to a Ukrainian infantry team. I got back and I realized that I went halfway across the world to help people. When there's people in my own community I can help. And I made myself a promise, and I'm a changed man through faith now. I prayed about it, and I told God that if I was lucky enough to get hired, I'd do this, and I'd do it to the best of my ability. And Captain Slayton was gracious enough to give me an opportunity, and it's worked out. I'm closely bonded with everybody on my shift, supervisors and other officers. I care about them now, and this is something that I'll do tomorrow.
Good deal. But you heard what a totally blessed young man, for you guys that's experienced a lot of military issues. Sometimes it bleeds over in the civilian world, and there's services out here if in the future you need them, okay?
Sir.
Any more questions of this young man? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Have a motion to approve by Commissioner Cherry. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner Halsey. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Good luck, son. Gibson County Sheriff's Office.
The Gibson County Sheriff's Office requests a criminal record waiver for Jacob Patton Littrell, hired August 11th of 2023. In February of 2010, Mr. Littrell was convicted of shoplifting in Jackson, Tennessee. Mr. Littrell has since satisfied all court-ordered sentencing, fines, and fees.
Thank you. Good morning. Who's representing Gibson County?
Captain Cody Childress.
Good morning, Captain. Can you go over with the board the situation with this pre-employment investigation?
Yes, sir. Mr. Littrell
in February of 2010, was an 18-year-old high school senior. He and a classmate made the foolish decision that day to go to Walmart and attempt to shoplift. Before they could leave the building, they were detained and subsequently charged with theft under 500. Our investigation indicates that since then, Mr. Littrell has been a good member of society. In fact, he has worked for us the last few years in corrections after giving a pre-employment waiver from the Tennessee Corrections Institute. Mr. Littrell quickly made shift supervisor. And I believe Mr. Littrell learned from his mistake, and 13 and a half years with no other infractions corroborates this.
That's good to hear, Captain. So the department went and asked for a waiver from TCI for pre-employment.
Yes, sir.
Over this situation. That's something we don't hear much of at this board, that chain of events has taken place, and I commend you and your department for doing that.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions of the captain? If not, Mr. Littrell, if you want to come forward and identify yourself for the record.
Yes, I'm Jacob Littrell.
Can you tell us why you and your buddy went into Walmart and decided to be silly?
I think it's just being young and dumb mistake.
What did you try to leave there with?
Creatine pills.
Creatine?
Creatine pills. Yeah, I figured that would help me work out.
Make you bigger?
Bigger.
Didn't work out very well, did it?
No, definitely did not.
What was the disposition of your court case?
What did they end up
doing to you?
giving me 3 days in jail.
3 days in jail?
3 days in jail.
Which jail did you spend that in?
Madison County.
Madison County, the jail you work in now?
I work.
No, you're in Gibson County, you're in Trenton, aren't you? So you were in Jackson, Madison County Jail. What was that experience like?
Terrifying to me. At that age, I definitely learned not want to go back there.
So were you on any probation after that?
No, sir.
So you took 3 days and that was the end of it?
That was it.
Any other questions from the board?
Mr. Beverly, motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve by Commissioner Beverly. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Have a second by Commissioner Green. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No.
No.
I hear 2 noes. Motion carries. Thank you. Union City Police Department.
The Union City Police Department requests a criminal record waiver for Terry Faye Doughton. In March of 2022, Ms. Doughton was arrested in Sugar Grove, Illinois for unlawful possession of a weapon. Ms. Doughton pled guilty and was convicted of a carry possession of a firearm. Ms. Doughton has since satisfied all court-ordered sentencing fines and fees.
Good morning. Who represents Union City Police Department?
Sergeant Brandon Adams, I'm the training officer for Union City.
Okay. Mr. Adams, can you go over your pre-employment investigation?
Yes, I'd like to make a correction to Mr. Bellows' statement there. And it would have been my fault. Most of my paperwork shows Dalton, but I've later, since this was filed, found out that her last name is King. That is her married name, K-I-N-G. And that's all the paperwork I received on her had it as Dalton until we already had this date set before I found it.
Okay. What can you tell us about this arrest and conviction of possession of a firearm?
In March of 22, she was with Jerry, which would have been her husband. He has since passed. She was with Jerry King in Sugar Grove, Illinois. He was stopped for speeding. There was an order of protection in place. That order of protection had been lifted, but still shown on NCIC. He was arrested for violating that order of protection. The officer spoke with her, and she was straightforward and honest. I have a gun in the car. which in Illinois is totally against guns. That is a violation in Illinois, even though it's not here. She was straightforward and honest, told the people, or told the officers, it says it in the report. And then she was arrested for that. She has, did plead guilty to it, paid her fines. And I have all the fine paperwork. She was released, March of this year.
How long was the order of protection in place?
I'm not sure on that. By the time I got hold of it, it had already been lifted.
Questions of the captain?
I have one.
Commissioner Halsey?
She was not a resident of Illinois then. She was a resident of here, Tennessee, just passing through visiting us.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions of the captain? If not, Ms. King, can you come and identify a full name for the record, please?
My name is Terry Baking.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I understand that your husband has passed.
Yes, sir.
How long had you been married?
We actually got married in December of 21. So he passed away February of this year.
Sorry for your loss. What was the reason for the order of protection at the time?
When we got married, I didn't know that he had an alcohol problem. He hid it. And then everything was good. And then I saw his demons come out and it scared me. I had to call the cops one night because he got belligerent drunk, raised his voice. He actually started damaging the house. So I left and went to my parents. But I found out that he wrecked the house because we were next door and I could hear banging going on. It scared me because it was my house that he was destroying. I didn't know what was going on. So my mother told me that I should call the cops and just have him removed. And so I did. And the sheriff actually spoke to me. He's like, I don't understand. I'm sorry you're going through this. I suggest you get order of protection. He said, I've seen this kind of man in my life. He's a repeat offender. He's going to do it again. I suggest you get out of the situation. And I was actually pregnant at the time. So I was scared. So I went ahead and did it. But I was married to him. And I mean, I do believe marriage is sacred. So I tried to work it out with him because I was carrying our child. And so I decided to have it lifted because he went to court, said he would go to rehab, do all the things he needed to do. And so we tried to work it out. And that's when we got pulled over. It was around the same time frame.
So at the time that you were pulled over in Illinois, the order of protection was in the process of being lifted. It had just not been taken out of NCIC. Is that correct? That's
my understanding. Yes. When I went and spoke to the judge and I gave them my written letter and I gave it to the clerk and I spoke to the judge and he said everything's good to go. I'm just assuming, I'm pretty sure we did it on a Thursday or Friday. So I'm just assuming because the weekend was coming up, it probably didn't go through.
So
we went up. Sorry.
What was the outcome in Illinois on the gun charge?
I pled guilty to just carrying without following their state laws. I did find out you're supposed to buy like a stamp if you pass through their state and you have a firearm. So I was just not aware of that at the time. I am military police on the military side, so.
Are you in the
that's
military now?
Yes, sir.
In the reserves?
National Guard.
National Guard.
Yes, sir.
How long have you been in the National Guard?
I've got almost 10 years now.
How many children do you have now?
I have one. She just turned a year old.
What kind of work have you been doing besides the National Guard?
So my husband actually had a safety consulting business. And so it's nationwide. And that's what we do is travel to job sites, which would explain we were in Chicago, Illinois, going to different job sites. So that's why we were there. But that's what we did. And so that passed on to me. And then I also do personal training and I have a real estate business.
Questions of the board?
I need to abstain from this one too.
We're going to have one abstention. Anybody else? Questions?
If I may,
You're recognized, sir.
I don't have a question, but just wanted to raise this, checking with our legal counsel. It's not 100% clear to me that a waiver is required for this one. The only way this would require a waiver was if we categorize this as a crime of violence. And I'm not sure that simple possession of a weapon in violation of Illinois state law would qualify that way. So I just wanted to point that out. And it additionally wasn't just a misdemeanor thing, so.
Mr. Chair,
You're recognized, Commissioner.
I guess I want to make sure you didn't purchase a stamp that was required. to
That's
carry.
what, when I looked up the law, it said, I guess that's what it's called as a stamp. You just buy this pass that shows that you own the weapon and have it with you on your trailer. If you did get pulled over, you could show it.
I checked into this when I was in Illinois. I can't even buy it as a police officer. I can't buy ammo at Walmart because I don't have it. It's like a duck stamp that you pay. The sheriff has to approve it in your county. It goes to the state approves it. Takes you like 6 months to get this stamp, just so you can buy ammo. And it's the same thing for any gun. They're very strict.
I have a comment on that. I've spent a little time in Illinois. And what she did was she did the right thing. She told the officer she had a weapon, but if she hadn't said anything, we wouldn't be here.
Yes.
And also, I think the law in Illinois is restricted to the trunk or a lock. Used to be.
I think you're just required to carry like the magazine and the pistol separate. I don't think it can be in the same container or area.
Well, it's an educational thing this morning, so. So for our legislators on the board, let's try not to be Illinois.
Yeah.
Right.
Any other questions or comments? Chair's gonna make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Have a second by Commissioner Spangler. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ma'am, make us proud in Upper West Tennessee.
Thank you, sir.
All right, congratulations. Thank you, Kevin. All right, moving on to page 4 of the agenda, waivers to attend another academy, Loudoun County Sheriff's Office.
The Loudoun County Sheriff's Office requested a waiver to change academies for Matthew Stewart Brandon, hired August 14th, 2023. In 2022, Mr. Brandon attended the Cleveland State Law Enforcement Training Academy, but he did not complete due to academic failure. Loudoun County Sheriff's Office is requesting the waivers so that he may attend the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy in January of 2024.
Chair will make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Have a second by Commissioner Wagner. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Putnam County Sheriff's Office.
The Putnam County Sheriff's Office requests a waiver to change academies for Jared Travis Williams, hired August 18th of 2023. In November of 2022, Mr. Williams attended Tennessee Highway Patrol Training Academy, but did not complete due to voluntary withdrawal. Putnam County Sheriff's Office requesting the waiver so that he may attend the Blount County Regional Law Enforcement Training Academy in January of 2024.
Any questions?
Commissioner Beverly, motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve by Commissioner Beverly. Have a second by Commissioner Green. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the waiver of basic training academies or training and specialized substitutions.
Post-reviewed and administratively approved 36 post-transition school waivers and all corresponding documents. The reported documents meet or exceed the minimum standards set forth by the Peace Officer Statement Training Requirements. And we have those listed there for you.
Make those names in the agenda as a matter of record, and the chair will be abstaining due to the fact it looks like I have one in the list. Any discussion on the list of names? Hearing none, all in favor of approving or a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve by Commissioner Green.
Second.
Have a second by Lieutenant Carter. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, one abstention.
I have an extension.
And a second abstention. Those will sneak up on you sometimes.
Yes.
And the mass staff. Page 7. Maybe over to administrative waivers. I want to make sure that that's, yeah. Top of page 7, we do not have any administrative waivers. We have a 6-month rule waiver, Jackson County Sheriff's Office.
The Jackson County Sheriff's Office requests a 6-month waiver for Bruce Edward Wigton, hired December 5th, 2022. Post did not receive the required pre-employment paperwork until August 5th of 2023. Mr. Wigton was unable to begin training due to an oversight and administrative changes. Mr. Wigton is scheduled to transition at the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy in September of 2023.
Director, are they in compliance now? I guess it's scheduled for.
That's correct.
So everything's good and proper and you're satisfied?
Correct.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve. Have a motion to approve by Commissioner Spangler. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a second. Commissioner Jackson, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There's no waivers for the 8-month. Moving on to page 8, we have no medical waivers. We have no waivers for military leave. And we're down to applications for training officer. It looks like we have the post investigators have reviewed and approved 6 applications for training officers that met, and none of them need any instructor development courses. Any questions on that? If not, entertain a motion to approve. Have a motion to approve by Commissioner Green. Have a second by the chair. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Going to the top of page 9, post investigators have reviewed and approved 4 applications for certified instructor. The applicants meet all the minimum standards and completed the minimum hours of attendance required for courses. None of them need any waivers or requirements. The chair will make a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
Commissioner Everly, second.
Commissioner Beverly is second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none, motion carries. Curriculum and test. Post investigators have reviewed approximately 120 in-service and specialized training classes. Any questions regarding the post investigators review of specialized training curriculum? If not, chair makes a motion to approve. Do I hear a second? Second by Commissioner Cherry. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none, motion carries. Page 10, old business, Grundy County Sheriff's Office.
Last month, the Grundy County Sheriff's Office was before us, and the commission recommended that he go back and have 30 days to fix some of the issues that he had. Sheriff Hunter Gunter is here in force to report on how he is following up with those deficiencies.
Sheriff Gunter, you're recognized.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, how are y'all this morning? Thank you for having me back this morning. As of to date, the officers or the deputies that I have in my department are all submitted in the CADIS. All of them but one is still pending. And the reason on Mr. Nunley is because our fingerprint machine was down. It was in a status of being updated. Thanks to Sheriff Bledsoe giving me a call that TBI Special Agent Blue was trying to reach me. I did not know that our machine was down. It was returning hits on the inmates, but it had not returned our status on Mr. Nunley. But since then, that's been corrected and that it is submitted. That's the only one that we're waiting our update on. So we talked about the last meeting, we talked about Sergeant Bass. As you know, he's over in corrections. We talked about John Trevor Dykes. He's over in corrections now, as he was when we stated before. Jeremy Thomas was listed in the last audit as not being in Acatus and was still showing working at the University of Swanee. That is Jeremy Thomas's actual full-time department that he works at is the University of the South. He is a part-time. Deputy Fultz is a part-time. As I stated at the last meeting, have deputies in every school. They're all certified. I have 2 that need to go to the SRO school. And they are scheduled to go to Columbia, Tennessee to the SRO week-long course, October 9th to the 13th. We had a question about in-service training. All my deputies are enrolled and currently doing their in-service training. We went through the audits that was provided to us and have addressed every issue that was pointed out in those audits. We've even started changing our policy and procedures I brought up last time. We now have a 3-step process, so we don't have some of the mistakes that we had last time. It will go to our chief investigator, Ms. Brown, which is with me today. Then it goes to Captain Delk, and then I'm the third set of eyes that review the application. It was mentioned in one of the audits that talked about due process. We went through and checked every one of those due processes, and those due processes have been addressed. Most of them was just reported wrong or written down wrong. Most of them was court dates, but after reviewing the red book, their correct court dates were in the red book. And so we've had some issue with the court clerk's office with the way that they pick up paperwork, the way that we deliver the paperwork. Now we deliver the paperwork by hand, and we also have a tracking system of every arrest that's made and that's reviewed each morning, and the documents that go with that paperwork. Talked about the caverns, that uncertified deputies were working the caverns. That has been resolved now. You have to be a certified officer if we do provide any security or extra duty jobs at the caverns. And I have all the due processes by list if you'd like me to go through them.
What's the situation with your court security?
The court security is that we have Investigator Turner. He does our court security now, until we can get an amendment to the budget to get more funding to be able to hire another officer to actually do court security. We have a civil process gentleman. He is a certified officer, but he's getting a little bit up in age and the court does not feel safe with him. We did, Mr. Chairman, just have a week-long murder trial. Jury sequestered, And Judge Thurman was very impressed with the court security.
Anything from the board for Sheriff Gunner? Who's the investigator assigned on this group?
Investigator Cantrell.
Cantrell, can you follow up on what Sheriff Gunner has revealed to the board?
Yes, sir.
Morning, Bruce Cantrell, Post Investigator. So in reviewing all the files in the case this week to make sure that we had an updated status on everything, there was one person that was brought to my attention just a few days ago. It was the Nunley deputy, who we didn't have any paperwork on, and he wasn't in case like the sheriff talked about. There was one deputy who was scheduled to go to Cleveland State for this class that just started this week. And I verified with Cleveland State that Deputy Nunley is there, but Deputy Collins did not show up. That he emailed a few days after the orientation day and said that he was planning on going to the spring class. We just recently, I believe it was this week or maybe late last week, received a pre-employment packet for Deputy Millsaps, who's been there since July of this year. He appeared to have all of his pre-employment paperwork. There's still a couple of discrepancies. There's Sean Norris, who it was brought to my attention after last month's meeting. He resigned shortly after being placed on suspension, but he's still showing active under suspension with them. His status hasn't been updated with the sheriff's office. There's still no background check showing for Chief King that was done by Grundy County. The last one in there is from January of last year when he was at Cannon County. Something that we just noticed last week when I first started going through the files. With Sheriff Gunner's sheriff packet, we noticed that there was in it, I'm not saying it was done intentionally, but there was one of his DD 214s that were not included in the sheriff's packet. That we spoke with legal about it, and we just figured out something that needed to be addressed since it's required paperwork for a pre-employment packet.
You said it was a DD 214 on the sheriff?
Yes, sir.
From his election packet?
Yes, sir.
Is that something that needs to come that we need to address here? I mean,
It's just one of the required paperwork.
that it just wasn't in there, I mean, but the status of
He's got
the,
two, but one of them wasn't in there.
but the status of those DD 214s
honorably.
They were both presented with, when he went to work for Signal Mountain. It just wasn't in his election packet. There were several deputies who started since Sheriff Gunner took office, whose background investigations and pre-employments were not submitted until a minimum of 2 to 3 weeks after they started. Within like the last month or month and a half, it was brought to my attention that there was, when Director Bello and Director Kane went to Grundy County in September of last year, they were told that there was 3 deputies that were there at the time who were part-time deputies. And all 3 of them have followed me since this all started in July with the July meeting, that and said that they were actually full-time and the whole time that they were there. And so based on what we were told in September, they were not eligible for salary supplement when it was submitted earlier this year. So that's something we felt needed to be addressed because they still have not gotten paid for their in-service last year. And as far as the court security issue, I haven't had time to verify this. I was just called yesterday and was told that, I don't know if it's the judge, the court clerks or whoever, but it was alleged to me that they do not want Grundy County Sheriff's Office doing security there, that they're actually hiring in supposedly private security to do security at the courthouse. Like I said, I haven't had time to verify that. That's just what was told to me yesterday.
Is there anything else?
Not at this time.
Question for me.
You're recognized, Commissioner Rosen.
Thank you. And forgive me if I got the wrong person in the wrong department. I wasn't here last month. Is this the same department that had somebody that hired out of Georgia that committed crime down there?
Yes.
Did that whole mess get resolved?
As far as what?
As far as pre-employment and
He's the one that resigned after being put on suspension.
I got you. Thank you.
And he's currently seeking employment in Nevada as an officer. He's recently done a open records request for all his records here.
Okay, thank you.
Chair,
You're recognized.
can you explain to me a little bit more, make sure I'm understand the part-time situation? So there were some part-time deputies were listed as part-time, but in fact, your investigation determined that they were full-time.
Correct.
So is there documentation? Is there a forgery of some type of documentation that's listing one thing and they're doing something else?
When Director Bello and Director Kane went there in September, they were told that these deputies were part-time. These deputies have not been entered into a case as having ever worked at Grundy County. They have individually reached out to me since everything came to light in July. And all 3 have told me that they were full-time the entire time they were at Grundy County. And there's no other agency listed in their employment history from basically beginning of September until I believe around March of this year.
And so I want to make sure I'm correct on this. Chief King is in administration with
Yes.
Grundy County, and you still have no background on a ranking administrative officer with that sheriff's office.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have another question.
You're recognized, sir.
The issue too is if you have three that are supposed to be part-time, you don't have to go to academy. If they work full-time, they do have to go to the academy. Have these three been to the academy?
They are actually certified officers.
Okay.
They have worked for other agencies and are currently working for other agencies. They were submitted on the salary supplement, but based on the information we had at the time, we had to mark them as ineligible because to our knowledge, they were part-time there.
Okay, thank you.
So on those part-time, so who is their full-time agency? Who is their mother agency? We have to know that for their supplement. I mean, you can't get a supplement.
They
as
were
part-time.
at the end, as of on December 31st of 2022, they are not listed as working anywhere else.
But they're certified working, but you have knowledge of them working at another agency.
I have knowledge of them working at Grundy County
Yes.
during that time. And like I said, Grundy County
Is
is,
it on Grundy County, the only place they're working?
yes, that's the only place they were working at the time.
Okay. I was thinking you said they were working at other agencies.
They're currently working at other agencies.
Oh, they're not at Grundy now?
No.
Okay.
I have one follow-up question. On Chief King,
Yes, sir.
he came from Cannon County,
Yes, sir.
and how long had he been at Grundy County?
He started September 1st of last year.
And he left Cannon County same time?
More or less within a week.
So you're saying that the packet that was sent in
Yes.
didn't have an updated?
No, sir. The last one was from, I don't remember the exact date, but it was January of last year while he was still at Cannon County.
Okay, so in that update is run a criminal record?
Yes,
those
sir.
kind of things.
Yes,
Okay, just to make sure.
And we probably missed that as they were transitioning to a new administration. And we were taking, I think we probably took the information that we had when they were in new sheriff's school and stuck it in the Grundy County ACADIS file to show that he had moved agencies, that they were in that transfer of power.
Yeah.
And so some of that falls on us that we didn't catch it and go back and ask for it too.
Because it's just a week, but for the sheriff's benefit, he should run it at some time, somewhere. Should be run, even Chief King should have known.
You're Commissioner Beverly.
I have actually a question for the sheriff.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Chief Deputy King was the one under investigation about a booking incident, correct?
That is correct, sir.
Is that concluded?
Yes, sir, and he has stepped down and is no longer chief.
What position does he hold?
He is now sergeant over patrol.
Still working certified though?
Yes, sir. I'd like to address some of these issues if I could. We did see while we were going through our packets, commissioners, we're not trying to deceive nobody here. One of the reasons that we were here last month was because of late paperwork. All that late paperwork has been submitted. Chief King does show active in ACADIS, and he does have an updated criminal history in his file. There are 3 deputies that he was talking about. We've seen that when we actually was provided, and I'd like to thank the commissioner that asked for that to be provided to us, that it showed them as part-time. But when the director and assistant director, Mr. Bello, come down and see us, those 3 deputies, the best of my knowledge, if I remember correctly, wasn't even working for us at that time. I do not deny that they worked at Grundy County full-time and was hired in full-time. As far as Mr. Norris, I have Captain Delk here. He will tell you that he took Sean Norris out of an active status. He spent yesterday trying to submit a file over 15 times. And then finally, late yesterday evening, we finally got it to go through. It's no secret that we've had some issues with ACADIS. As far as my DD 214, I have a DD 214 from the Marine Corps, I have a DD 14 from the United States Army, and one from the National Guard. However, when you ETS out of the military, even though I got close to 20 years combined service between the three, everything that you've ever done is included on that final DD 214. Did not purposely omit it. I have no MC, Uniform Code of Military Justice against me. I have no Article 15s against me. I don't even have an adverse write-up in the military. So by no means would I try to amend my DD 214 on purpose. I'm proud of my service. I'm proud of every honorable discharge that I re-enlisted that I received. So what was some of the other issues? Kyle, he didn't. That is correct that he did not go to the academy this time. He owns a personal business that deals when the storms hit. And because of the hurricanes and this pending post-commission meeting this morning, he was worried about him going to the academy, even knows that he fully supports me and knows that we've been working diligently trying to fix these corrections, was waiting to see before he paid his own money to go to the academy.
Sheriff, let me ask you, why have you got a deputy paying his own money to go to the academy when the governor has relinquished our tuition here at the state academy? That's what I can't understand.
This gentleman had already paid for his academy, Mr. Chairman, before he came to us, and chose to go to Cleveland State as the academy that he wishes to attend.
Okay. And I understand that. I'm a graduate of Cleveland State and I'm very proud of it. It's a great academy. And I'm on my 30th year. The other kind of issue that I've got questions about is we're seeing a trend, and I understand times is hard. Nobody has to tell me about Grundy County. You know where I live, right next door to.
Yes, sir.
I've spent over half my career working in Grundy County. Been all over your county, worked with a lot of fine law enforcement officers. But I'm seeing a trend here where people are either in law enforcement or they're not in law enforcement. And you, as the sheriff, have to make that decision of these people. Are you going to go to these academy days that you've put your reputation on with those academies to set those dates up? Or are these people going to dictate to you, the sheriff, when they're going to go or not go? And then it drags you back up here before this board, wanting to know why all these academy changes are happening. This is a trend because you had two here right after you got elected. And as far as I know, I don't know where they're at. I think they're both gone or quit, but they were supposed to show up to the academy. And this seems to be a trend.
I'd be happy to answer that for you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, you don't have to. I'm making a statement.
All right, but I would like to address it if you would let me.
Well, go ahead.
Yes, I am going to attend when these gentlemen and ladies go to the academy. Sergeant Bass that you were talking about that didn't go to the academy, he has a shoulder tear and is waiting surgery. John Trevor, we've since moved him.
Well, let me back up on that. Did he have the shoulder tear on it the day we sat right here and approved and they were going over here? Did he get that tear between the time we approved them and the Sunday or the day they were going for orientation?
We're not sure if he achieved it.
He achieved it after he didn't show up.
That is correct, sir. And we have medical.
What about the other one?
John Trevor, sir, or the one that was the state trooper? Bradford, he didn't give no reason and resigned.
Okay, so you see where I'm coming from.
And I do,
Okay,
yes, sir.
I want us to have that understanding. The next thing that I have concerns about, I wasn't at the last meeting, but it's come under my attention and I've watched the meeting. How many deputies do you have that the district attorney general has put under Brady Gigolo?
We have 7 currently, sir.
Is Bess one of them?
No, he's not.
Is King one of them?
Yes, sir.
Your chief deputy,
He's not chief deputy, no, sir.
but he's a sergeant on patrol.
He is now, yes, sir.
How
All,
are you going to handle a road supervisor that cannot take out a warrant or testify in court in the state of Tennessee, particularly in the 12th Judicial District? How can you have that person as a patrol deputy to the citizens of your county? How?
well, Mr. Chairman, it's all under, they have attorneys now.
But no, Sheriff, I'm trying to hit you. I'm trying to hit you here. That burden of responsibility goes back on you. You're the sheriff. You have to lead. You've got somebody working on your shifts. Your shifts right now, Sheriff. What have you done besides put them back further into patrol? What have you done?
Well, I've made sure that they are talking with their attorneys. They are going through the process. Mr. King, his
But if he
attorney,
makes an arrest tonight, Sheriff, he can't do anything. He can't arrest. You put him on patrol.
well, Mr. Chairman, I have 6 patrol officers right now. He was the acting, now that he's on there, that he's 7. I actually have 4, yes. Then I have where he was in the chief, he's no longer there. I have a captain and 2 investigators.
I'm sure, I don't think you're following what I'm saying.
I am following what you're saying, Mr. Chairman, but I've
You've
got
got
to,
somebody that does not need to be on patrol. If they're under these, you should have suspended or reallocated them to a non-law enforcement position.
Mr. Chairman, I met with the DA and listened to her reasons for it. A lot of it comes from hearsay. And
Sure, your DA has the final say, no matter what our personal opinions are. Me and my DA don't agree on everything. Me and your DA don't agree on everything. And I'm sure I don't agree with a lot of DAs in here, but I'm trying to help you as a sheriff. We want you to succeed. You have people working patrol in your county who your DA will not allow to sign a warrant or testify as a witness or anything in your courts. I don't know how hard that is to figure out. They do not need to be on patrol.
Mr. Chairman, so you're saying I'm supposed to cover my whole county
I'm
with 2
saying,
deputies?
I'm saying you're the one that put your name on the ballot, just like me and Sheriff Spangler and some other elected officials in this room. We chose it.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
This is this is the deck of cards that has been dealt. And you've got to deal with it. And I'm highly suggesting for the safety and the sanity of the courts and you personally, that you deal with this immediately.
And I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I mean that sincerely. We want our sheriffs to succeed. The citizens of your county voted for you. They elected for you to that office. But we also have rules that govern that and laws that govern that. And if your district attorney general has, and that's been testified to by our investigator here, that you've got these deputies still working on patrol who were dead in the water. They're DOA. If they're showing up on a call, they're a witness to what your other deputies are doing. If they somehow stop a car and have to deal with something, how are you going to answer to that? How?
I have the deputies that are not on that list helping the ones that are. But Mr. Chairman, you tell me how some of these deputies have worked a career for 13 to 15 years and have never been on this list until they come to work with Sheriff County.
That's not for us to argue. That's your district attorney general and that DA has the final say so. Now, they can take that up in hearings and courts, but at this time, I highly recommend to you as the sheriff of Grundy County that you remove those deputies from the patrol status and put them in a non-law enforcement category somewhere within your department or within your county government. I highly suggest that. I highly suggest that because I foresee that you're going to walk yourself down a path of no return, Sheriff, and I mean that so from the bottom of my heart. I'm telling you, you need to address this quickly because this is just going to keep compounding, Sheriff, and there's going to be some things that this board or these investigators are not going to be able to help you with. And we have attorneys that sit here. We have other, there's thousands of years of knowledge right here on this board, without a doubt. And we're not here to punish you. No, sir, no way. And I know you think I'm picking on you. I'm not picking on you. I'm trying to help you. And I'm telling you right now, you have got to take action. As painful as it is, you, the sheriff, yourself, have got to just suck this up and say, this is painful, but this is what we got to do. I can't do that, only you.
I understand that, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
I want, who is going to be handling your case? Ms. Brown going to be handling your case?
Ms. Brown will be, and Captain Delk is doing it right now.
Okay, can y'all come forward for just a minute? Okay, what we've got to do on everybody that you hired, before you hire them, you've seen here, it's called pre-employment.
Yes, sir.
All right, it's called pre-employment for a reason. The county cannot run them through their HR. They cannot sign any paperwork. They cannot receive a check until everybody is pre-employed, background checked. Okay, so you've heard some of those pre-employment waivers today.
Yes,
A few of those folks had already, you heard that one where he had been working in the jail, but he went and got a you have to get a pre-employment if somebody's got a bad DD 214, arrest conviction or something like that. They even have, if they're going to work in the jail, they've got to get that waiver from TCI board. So that young man had already, that department did the right thing. I think it was Gibson County. I commend them. That's one of the very few that's ever come up here that's done it right. So pre-employment, that's a big pet peeve of mine. Pre-employment means pre-employment. We've had people quit their jobs, go to work as law enforcement officers and get denied up here. They've lost good paying jobs and then that department had to turn them loose because they couldn't get a waiver up here for some kind of conviction, okay? I need you to understand this.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if y'all bring somebody in to Grundy County and want to come to work and you do a background check where they lay out to you, hey, I've got a dishonorable or less than honorable discharge. Whoa, stop right there. Don't let them quit their job. If you want them employed, y'all got to bring them up here beforehand. You've got to get with the director, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, next thing. If you're hiring somebody and you need help with those background checks, call Director Bello, call the investigator, okay?
Yes, sir.
They're gonna do it. I mean, both directors have been down there, personal cell phone numbers are gonna be given. Any movement you make in that county dealing with an employee, do not hesitate to call us. Let's salvage this. Let's get this fixed. These part-times and these cicadas is very important. You could lose out on your stipend. Your whole department could get suspended for not getting this in line. And your whole department could lose their in-service pay. It's $800. $800 is a lot of money to me. I'm sure it is to y'all. We've got to get that fixed. And we keep going down these lists. And we're going to address it some more. But the biggest thing is these background checks. If you know somebody is a problem child and they're what I call gypsy police and they're hopping from county to county to city, what should we say about that? They're probably problem children.
Correct.
We've been going through all the.
I understand that. Call the agencies they work for. Call their sergeants. Don't worry about talking to me, the sheriff. Don't worry about talking to the chief deputy. Talk to the folks that work with them on the street. Do a real good, thorough background check on these people. And it's going to save Grundy County a lot of grief down the road. I'm very, very concerned that this Norris guy has slipped through 2 state systems. That is what brings the news media to Tennessee, and I do not like the news media reporting on bad hires and bad law enforcement. That's what gets us all tattooed. That Norris guy, I don't know what went on in Georgia. It sounds to me like he should have been in prison. And I sure didn't want him next door in Grundy County. If he's a stalker, he's a stalker. We've got to catch those kinds of things. Yeah, even though they might have not got a conviction or some DA decide, where there's smoke, there's fire. Okay, we got to stop that. Y'all have this ability to do that. The courthouse and this court security. Now, I'm hearing, here as the chair, I'm hearing conflicting issues about, hang on, let me finish. I'm hearing conflicts on this, and I understand that you've had a murder trial with a sequestered jury. There is protocols about court security, okay? And I understand that Detective or Investigator Turner's in there, is that right, Sheriff?
That is correct, sir.
Okay, now, you reach out, if you have a big case, reach out to your surrounding agencies, reach out to somebody. I understand that. You reach out to the Highway Patrol. They will be there to help. If we can make available arrangements, if you have a trial coming up, you need to have, you're supposed to have at least one certified officer in any court proceeding. And I know you have two courtrooms, a circuit and a general sessions, is it all in one courtroom?
It's two.
There's two.
There's two, yes,
Do
sir.
they have court at the same time?
No, sir, we have a part-time judge. We do not have a
Okay.
full-time judge.
So we need to address that to make sure sometimes the sheriff himself may have to go and deal with court. I do it. There's a whole lot of us that have to do it. We have to suck that up. Y'all need to help the sheriff, okay? You're gonna be his rocks. You're gonna be his anchors. Make sure that we've got some security in those courts. And if you don't, suck your pride up and call for mutual aid. You've got a lot of good counties around you. A lot of good counties, and you've got a lot of good sheriffs around there. And I've spoken to a lot of them. Trust me, my phone has blown up. We want to help you, Sheriff Gunner. We want you to succeed. The biggest problem I see is you're gonna have to suck some of your pride up. You're gonna have to suck some of your pride up, and you're gonna have to reach out, and you're gonna have to call some of us for help. I have to call my sheriffs. I have to call for backup even in Coffee County. We call for help. We help one another. So you make some phone calls. You've not called me, have you? Have you ever called me?
No, Sheriff.
And why not? Why, I want to know why not today publicly. Why you have not reached out to me as a neighboring sheriff who is the chairman of the Post Commission, who is living right next door to you, and you've not called me not one time to say, Sheriff, you're right here. Do you come to Manchester ever? You come through Manchester, come here this morning, didn't you?
Yes, Sheriff.
I'm just down the road from, matter of fact, my jail is closer to the Grundy County line than it is any other line in Coffee County. I'm available to help you. And I've heard some disturbing things that has bothered me, that a lot of your issues is being blamed on me. That has bothered me. I do not know why. Maybe it's some of those officers you've hired that shouldn't be in law enforcement that's giving you chin music that you shouldn't be listening to. I'm going to go on and say it. You have hired some people that you shouldn't have hired, and that's a reason you've gotten them, because nobody else wants them. Now, Sheriff, we're going to clean this act up, or you're not going to be in office. That's what I'm telling you. Now, I'm going to extend my olive branch out to you as your neighboring sheriff and the closest sheriff that sits on this board to help you. But I'm tired of excuses. And I'll tell you what I'm really tired of. I'm tired of your citizens calling me. I have all I can do to put up with the citizens of Coffee County, and I can't be sheriff of Grundy County either. Okay? I'm getting a lot of calls, and I have a due diligence of ethics to this board, but also as a law enforcement officer and the sheriff in the state of Tennessee, I have a due diligence to protect all people in this state. And if we got to come and help you, I'm going to come and help you. And if we got a ABC, 1, 2, 3, this is what we're going to do. That's the reason I'm explaining pre-employment. But I take it very personal And I'm very offended that you would sit in a meeting and blame all of your issues or a big majority of your issues on me. I didn't hire those people. I didn't run for office in Grundy County. You did. But I'm going to hit you. Does anybody else have anything else to ask or say? I'm going to request that one of these two people, representatives from Grundy County, contact the Post Commission once a week. I want you to provide a updated employment list to the investigators of every person. If you make a change, if you even think about making a change of employment or hiring somebody, you're going to contact this investigator.
Yes, sir.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to work on these other things. Things seem to be looking up, and we're going to continue to look up. We're going to make you succeed. Now, if the citizens and the county mayor and whoever else or the district attorney general does other things, that's their business. Our business is to take care of you, to make sure your people are in compliance and that your people get the training they need and that they follow along with the rules of this board. That's what we're going to do. Okay. Once a week, you're going to check in with the investigator. One of you pick it out. If you have any questions, if you need to come to my department and speak with my GDI and look at our files, you come. It's going to be an open door. We're going to sit down and we'll show you how to put these things together for a good audit. And so that it'll be just like what these folks want. Okay. My door is open. Y'all come through there all the time. You come to me, you come to Franklin County, you go to Bow Burnett and Marion County, you go to Little Jackie and Warren County. We're here. Use those people around you. We're not perfect, none of us, but if we work together, it's gonna succeed, okay? All right. Anything else from the board?
Mr. Chair,
You're recognized.
regarding the salary supplement for those 3 deputies, how can we correct that mistake?
We would have to get those, I'm sure we have those names. We would have to bring this on to the either next month's docket or one of the dockets, and we would have to review them for the supplement waiver. I would assume that's what we would have to do.
Can we get that on next month just to correct that mistake?
To make sure they get their money.
Certainly. And can we make a motion to get a report in 30 days from the sheriff again on any progress he's made?
I have a motion. Do I hear a second on a 30-day report?
Second is
Have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, we're going to be back here in 30 days. Please reach out. If you need help, you call.
Yes, sir.
Okay? And help him.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Moving on. I will, we have some changes and also we have something that I didn't address ahead. We need to put this public comment section ahead of the agenda. I messed that up. I should recognize that.
That was actually moved back to the bottom of the agenda.
The
for
one at
legal.
the bottom. For like, y'all moved it. Y'all want at the bottom. Okay. Anybody here with any public comment?
We didn't have anybody sign up.
We didn't have anybody sign up. New business. All right, so we're to number 1 of new business. Chattanooga State Community College Campus Police Department. Is that going to be under, you got this under new business?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The Chattanooga State Community College Campus Police Department requested post-commission approval to attend transition school for Raymond Omar Ayala Castro, hired May 1st, 2023. Mr. Ayala Castro graduated the Puerto Rico Police Academy in March of 2015 and was employed with the Puerto Rico Police Department from April of 2014 until March of 2023. The total number of hours Mr. Ayala Castro received at the academy could not be determined from the submitted documents. So we couldn't get anything, any kind of syllabus or hey, he had a 400-hour academy. They had some difficulties getting that from where he went and attended in Puerto Rico. So we left that to the board to make that determination as to whether or not we can accept that as a substitute for basic training or whether, and be eligible to attend transition school, whether he would need to attend a full basic.
Do we have any idea what Puerto Rico's basic training is? I mean, anywhere close to it,
They even have certification.
or do they even have a certification?
I'd say they do.
We're
The
here.
documents that were sent to us.
Oh, we're here, okay.
Yeah.
Can you identify yourself, please?
Yes, sir. I'm Chief Reniger with Chattanooga State Campus Police Department. With me is Officer Raymond Ayala. And we
Okay,
do
good
have-
morning.
Good morning, everyone. We do have a little update on that. The document came to my attention this morning. It does show some hours finally. That has been a challenge for us to obtain. I emailed it earlier. Unfortunately, it was probably before most of you got seated. But let me show you. Can you see this? I don't know how this works really as far as sharing screens goes.
Has to be real hard for us to first see.
But can you see it on the smaller screen here, Director? Is it?
I can see, it's a transcription of, it looks like a college transcript. It just shows grades and credit hours. It doesn't necessarily show, he had 600 hours of training. It's, like you would go to a college and this has 3 credit hours. So he's got like 45 credit hours, got to be in this particular topic. So this appears to be a college transcript. It is in Spanish. So we would have to have that probably translated officially but based on my Spanish speaking skills, that's what it looks like to me.
If he's certified.
How many hours does the officer say Chattanooga that they did in that?
Raymond?
How many hours? How many hours did he do in Puerto Rico in that class?
No members of the post. Basically, I did 7 months in the academy. So it was basically 5 days a week, 8 hours.
Okay. Was it kind of more like military? Was it a military-like style?
Sorry, I can hear that.
Was it military?
Yeah, it's, yeah.
6 months is a long time.
Yeah, yeah. In Puerto Rico, basically, we're quasi-military. So yeah, it's kind of like we did there basically some months, training, and once you finish your training, they will send you, to your post that will be either in the streets or in the airport or wherever they need you.
Did they go over things like domestic violence and mental health issues and things of that nature?
Yes, sir. We cover domestic violence. We cover also sexual assault as well. We cover cybercrime as well. Also, they cover also LGBT issues as well. They cover all that. So yeah, I saw basically a whole course for months, and so that way, once we send on the street, we can be ready to deal with the population and basically how to react when in case then something happens.
Okay.
It's like state police.
So it sounds like state police highway patrol here. Sounds like it's very thorough.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Any questions?
Motion approved.
Have a motion to approve by Commissioner Green. Do I hear a second?
Commissioner Beverly, second.
Commissioner Beverly, second. Any discussion?
One discussion point. I never did hear him say anything about certification. They're part of the United States.
They are, yeah.
I don't know if they belong to.
They are, but they may not issue a post certificate like Tennessee does. And that's something that we actually deal with different from state to state.
Yeah, okay.
Just on a regular day-to-day basis. So they may be in that same boat as well as hey, you've graduated. New York is that way, for example. New York, you graduate your basic academy and that is your certification. You don't actually get a separate certification.
Well, the same here in Tennessee until it changed the law. State police didn't have to be certified.
Correct.
And I guess that's the only police in Puerto Rico, so.
All right. Anything else? Any more discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Good luck.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Chief will be reaching out to you about getting him registered for class and getting all that lined up for you, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Have a good day.
We're talking about transitions.
Yes, sir.
New business item for discussion, the 2022 audit inspection of Shelby County Sheriff's Office. Looks like there's no findings, no comments. Any questions or comments from the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve or disapprove the audit. Have a motion to approve the audit. Second. Have a second, Commissioner Spangler. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the audit, indicate saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Carries. Added item number 3. We need to talk about, I think yesterday we mentioned, we go through this at least once a year, but we need to sit down and really go through the rules and have a, look at our post rules and see where we're at and what we need to do. And we've got a lot of things on our formal hearings, and I know it's hard for us to get together. And I know after the first year, our legislative members will be tied up at the state legislature, and they need to focus in that manner. But we really need to look at going through our rules and looking at, issues or things that are dated or things that need to be updated. So Director Bello, do you have any suggestions or ideas of what you'd like to do on that?
Well, we'll be in Gatlinburg in November, and then, regular meeting in December. So legals, what's the process, how to get that started, just stakeholder meetings, public notice?
Right, we had discussed, for the stakeholder meeting, just sort of talk about these things, things being the rules specifically. We could place that on the agenda with not a whole lot of prior notice, but a formal rulemaking hearing is a little bit of an onerous process. Everybody does it, but it has to be several days notice out before that's done. But to simply just talk about where we're at, and just so you all know, the legislature had directed that we do, and Commerce Insurance has done a what's called a retrospective rule review. So we're really just sort of finishing that up right now as an agency, not just for post rules, but for all the rules that Commerce Insurance regulates. So we've identified, a handful that just need to be updated. And there can be discussion about other rules that could be updated for a different reason. But I think probably December, that sort of.
That would be just to go over and look at them and
right.
You have the law enforcement professionals here that understand. And I know sometimes we've got folks writing rules that have never been in law enforcement or don't understand law enforcement. Not discrediting them, but there's your law enforcement professionals are on this board. We would really like to look at those because I know sometimes they just kind of get, and that's not good. And that's where we get bad rules and rules that don't make sense.
And there's been some legislative changes that, since last year, like, for example, Public Chapter 847 that allows folks, up until then, it was required to be for a pre-employment requirement, amongst others, was that be a U.S. citizen. Well, now that could be a permanent legal resident. So that would be a rule change that we want to make. That's one of the first couple of rules that shows up on our list of rules. So just as an example, but that, if it not just limited to those, or we can discuss anything. Yeah.
Do you think we could dedicate a meeting day in December just for the rules?
Just a matter of putting on the calendar.
Okay.
What do we want to do in November?
Well, they've already got hearings set up for November, so that's already set out. But
Are we doing 2 days?
We're doing the 2 days. We're doing the regular informals on Thursday and regular post-commission meeting on Friday. But I know not everybody attends in November and drives out to Gatlinburg. So I wasn't too sure if that was something that we wanted to do in Gatlinburg when it
preference would be to have
The
everybody.
only thought I had was if you have something comes up where you need the legislative guys, Senator Jackson. So, and Russell, got to get it done before I go
Well, if we can get a review done in December, then, it'll give them plenty of time. Of course, time we get ready to vote on or have public hearing, they'll probably be out of they'll be out of session. So that'll give legal plenty of time to do all that. But I would like first to go over and if we need to make some marks or if there's something that needs to, if there's something that needs to be brought up in the legislative body. I think December would be a good time, and then that would give our legislative representatives time to address that. And that it may be something that we need to look at. All right, any other discussion on that? So we're going to look at doing something in December as going over our rule. And I would ask that if we can get a complete rule packet dealing with codes put together, because I know some in years' time they've done that. I don't know when's the last time we put one of those together, but the members probably need a copy of all the rules. Last and not least, I'll bring up about our meeting location. I'm glad to be back out here at the Post Commission office. I think it makes it more convenient for our staff because all our files are here. Everything we need is here. When they start having to tear down and bring our electronic devices and set up, and things kind of get lost. But I know I probably don't have the final say on that, but I would like to continue to have our meetings here as much as we can. And it helps on parking. I know it helps on our fellow sheriffs and police chiefs and deputies. The parking downtown, yes, some of us have parking passes, but I've watched the due diligence of visitors and the people have of finding parking, and I can't imagine working downtown every day. I don't think there's enough money in the world to pay them to work downtown. But if we can keep this here, if we need to bring a vote or if anybody has anything else to say, but I would like to pass to the administration or the decision makers on that. We have a wonderful room the state spent a whole lot of money on, and we have a great IT group here. And it seems like I went back last night and watched yesterday's meetings. Perfect clarity, clear. I think today is went well, but I would like for us to continue to meet out here until they knock the building down. Does that need to go in a form of a motion? I make a motion.
I'll second.
I have a second. Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I think it's pretty clear. Any other business? Hearing none.
Motion adjourned.
Motion adjourned.
Oh, but